Hi guys, so in this video tutorial we're going to look at citing our sources. It's something you have to do in college and university level studies. It's also something that is useful because when you read articles related to your work in the future, you might find articles that are using their sources and you'll therefore know what you're looking at. So in our projects we practice citing our sources. This is an example on this page. What you see here is an example of notes that a student might put together to do the speaking evaluations in our course. So I have a section here, laser scanner components, and I took the information in this section from this source number 1 and from this source number 2 as well as source number 3 where I have some video content. So each time I have a piece of information, I have to say which source it comes from. Okay, and if I go to the end of my notes, I then have the reference list where I say what system I used and what those sources are. So source number 1, for example, is by Schuckman and Renslow, and this article is titled LiDAR System Components, and you have in the reference, it's called a reference here, a citation, you have also the email, not the email, sorry, the URL online where you can click it and see it directly. All right, so that's the start of this. Let's now look at a couple examples of articles published online and the sources that they use. Okay, so here we have an article about memory. You know, memory is a topic that I think is very important. In the article, then they've got an example over here. Sources 1 to 6 cover the information in this paragraph. And if I go to the last page, I find this list of references where they mention every single source that gets used. And they're numbered in the order in which they were used for the first time. Here's another example. This is a comparison of methods used to estimate coral cover in the Hawaiian Islands. And in this case, they're using a different system where instead of using numbers, they put the author's name and the year of the publication in parentheses. That's another system. And when I go on top, hover it, it shows a little box with the full source over here. At the end of the article, they also have a list of references. So here is that list with all of the sources used. When there are no numbers, they put the author's names in alphabetical order, okay, to make it easy for the reader to find it. So how do we make those sources ourselves in an easy way? I'm on the RRCC page, and if I go into the writing section, I have documenting sources, so you click on that. And when you do, you'll get a nice explanation of some of what I just said. Read through this, take the time to read it. You'll learn that there are different systems that are used, the basic information that's the same in all systems, different annoying things from one system to the other, whether they use commas, periods, parentheses, capital letters, and so on. And that's what makes it very tedious to do our sources. And you'll learn also that there are systems, pages online that can help us do our sources correctly and more easily. So Cite This for me is my preferred source to use online to help me make my sources. CiteFast also works, but it doesn't give as many choices in the style of the source. So we're going to check out Cite This for me now. So Cite This for me is a free platform, which means we get all kinds of fun ads to distract us. Click on add new reference to get started, and then you're next invited to say, well, what kind of reference do you want to use? And is it a website, a journal, a book, or something else? To practice this, we're going to work with video, How Sugar Affects the Brain by Nicole Avena. So back over here. And we want a video, so that's not an option here. So go into the More page and choose, read through the big long list, and you'll eventually find online image or video. That's what we want. So I'll click on that. And then it asks for first information about the author. So I remember her name, Nicole Avina. Where did I get her name from? Well, there's two things. One is it's right over here, but more significantly at the very end of the video, we have her name given, Lesson by Nicole Avina. So that's how I know that she is the author. Okay, next, well, actually before next, if ever you find a source with no name given for who wrote the article, put the name of the website as the author. Okay, so if I was on Pepsi site, for example, and there's no name for an article on the Pepsi site, I put Pepsi as the author. So the year of publication of my video, I've got 7th January 2014. So we change that to 2014. My computer's a little bit slow today. Connection. The format, is it an image? No, it's a video. So I click on video over here. My computer's a clunker, isn't it? Put in the title. So how sugar affects the brain. And the URL. So I need the address of the item. So copy that and paste it into our URL here. And the access date, it does that automatically the date you're doing this. So add reference. And the looks good. And now next thing you got to check is the style of the reference that you used. So I had set already to the APA style. For our course, you can use this if you're in the sciences, especially if you're in the biology program. They like using this in biology. Otherwise, if you're in computer science or one of the engineering programs, then for our course, we're going to use the IEEE system, which is standard for that field, those fields. And we're going to use the one with the URL because it's good to have the address. So suppose I had set this, I did my source, and I realized, oh, I want this in IEEE. So I just click over here after my source is done, and this is going to automatically change to the IEEE style. Once you've got it, you can just click on copy that and then put it into a Word document. There it is.